What up, yo? This is not just self. My name is VECtore. We're also here with NATO and a special guest who's been working with us, collaborating with us with a lot of projects is JMKM.
What's
of
up?
this fine establishment.
Welcome
Yo.
back.
Man, it's good to have you back. That was a great intro.
Yeah, it's
than
been a
mine.
while.
2 months?
Yeah, roughly 2 months. So, yeah,
Welcome back, man.
Here we are.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome. Just kidding.
it was good to be back. No,
Music.
with the last couple episodes I was looking, I was like, man, I wish I was there. But now that time freed up, I'm firstly back in full time.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
So yeah. So I guess the audience would like to know as far as our topics today. So our topics are going to be what are the parameters that make someone's music real hip hop? And then Nato is gonna go with his topic as far as like the importance of understanding your audience. And then JMKM is gonna go with his topic dealing with the failures and fear as creatives and entrepreneurs.
Right.
With that being said, we'll just get right into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So I guess with my topic,
This is a good one.
yeah, I've been thinking about it, like for most of the day, like how am I going to start this and how I'm going to begin with this topic. I guess for me, what makes the parameters of what's real hip hop for me is someone that believes in their content. I guess what I'm trying to say is like someone that stands with what they believe in. I feel with like, I mean, not everyone, but like some artists, they just say what they want to say. And then a whole different song, they say something else. Like they're going back and forth, back and forth. And I feel with like, what is the parameters that makes real hip hop is like where someone disagrees with you or disagrees with you, they still stand with the perspective on what they're talking about or what
Right.
subject they're talking about.
So you're saying basically like whoever the creator is and they're making this hip hop, that's their stance. And whether people disagree or agree with it, the fact that they're creating this and they're, you know, standing by it, that's what makes it hip hop.
Right. Whether it be like, controversial subject.
Right. Okay. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, you kind of have to, you got to walk the walk to talk the talk. I feel there's a lot of music out there that's, I guess, mainstream music that I will listen to and I'm like, I can't buy it.
Right.
I can't like eat it. It don't resonate with you, the person who's giving me that message. I can't consume it because I don't believe it when I see it or hear it. But I think that's true. You have to, that person who's writing it and speaking it out, that they have to embody that message. And I feel like a lot of artists really don't do that. That produce a lot of like on the mainstream platform. So yeah, that's my take on it. What makes it? Go ahead.
So, but does that make it not hip hop though?
No, I
Because,
mean that's the thing though.
like if someone puts out something that someone, well, not saying you, but someo's like, that's whack, I don't get it. That's not hip hop. Like what? I think that's the conversation we should
that
have.
is
Is like
true.
what?
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes hip hop, and what makes what qualifies listeners and the audience to be out there being, nah, that's not hip hop or that is hip hop. Considering that, would you guys say that like hip hop is one of like the newest forms of music that we have?
Relatively speaking, yeah.
Yeah.
It's newest to the block. I remember I had this conversation with Mos Rap because I was in a room with them and I'm like the only poet and everybody else has like been rapping for like years. And it was hip hop is a hip and hop is the movement of how. So I think when it comes to hip hop, I think what makes hip hop is true knowledge of self and going back to artists putting out music that doesn't coexist with them. Now we're starting to see the negative connotations of that. Does that, because I'm trying to stick on topic what you asked about the hip hop thing.
Right.
I feel what makes hip hop, I think, is what you're feeding to the community. Is I think when I think of hip hop, I think of an artist educating his listeners, his audience, the consumer. This is game. So let me kick you game. And I feel like a lot of artists these days, they're not kicking game no more. I mean, they might be kicking game, but it's not knowledgeable. It doesn't benefit you.
I feel like some of them are so used to a certain formula, or some of them may be too scared to kick that knowledge that they stick to the safe route as far as like, you know what, let me stick to this formula. which they don't realize is also being detrimental, like, as far as the next generation per se.
Absolutely. No, it's interesting. I just wanted to get you guys' take on that because a lot of people, I mean, I feel like hip hop is evolving, and then yeah, there's the conscious stuff and kicking game and stuff, but some of hip hop was just was just created just for fun,
That's
Right,
true.
and that is true.
and people have fun in different ways, and especially the younger generation that are creating music. A lot of people are interpreting that as not being hip hop, but that's when just want to ask, well, what is hip hop then? Like, was it defined when people were taking other records and finding the breakbeat and looping it, and people were dancing in the park? Was it defined when like Will Smith won the award, but they wouldn't put him on TV? Was it defined? Is it defined when a 16-year-old is like talking about taking meds with his grandma? Is that hip hop? So. I guess I feel like hip hop is growing, and it's something that we don't, we can't really put in a box,
You can't.
And there are subgenres, and but at the end of the day, kind of go back to what you're saying. As long as you're doing it, whatever you're doing it for, and you're sticking to it, whether you're doing it to have fun, or you're doing it to drop knowledge, then as long as you're staying true to yourself, I think it's always going to be up for interpretation, though.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good that you said that because hip hop, you made the comment about it being asking the question if it's like relatively new. I mean, it is. We all know that it's relatively new in the scene of music. So I think hip hop is still in a state of everlasting evolvement because as hip hop grows, the community grows with it, vice versa. So you're right because there are other branches of just hip hop. It's not the consciousness stuff always. It's that fun stuff. We're all young ones, so we all know about like what goes on when we're young, so that is a good thing to consider. And I think the issue, well, I wouldn't say issue, but I think the thing is once we like first and foremost, what is hip hop and how do we classify everything that is or isn't hip hop? Because we're all going to say it's hip hop at the source of it all, but now there's trap, now there's this, now there's that, now there's this, there's this, there's that. So is it a subgenre of a genre, or do we just label everything as hip hop, and then it just snowfalls under?
I feel like with all the subgenres, it's creating a beast within itself. Like it's gonna expand more and more within that tree and within that same root. Like I do agree that it fits within the same. It comes from the same tree and the same roots. So it's almost, in a sense, it could be difficult to get like label it in a sense.
Right.
So it's because like just all those other subgenres that were mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, like every genre of music, there's subgenres. Like you won't find someone just being like, "Oh, this is rock," and then they put like Aerosmith in the same conversation as Sum 41.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's like those random Sum 41.
That's all it's like.
But like, you feel me? So I feel like the fact that even pop, like there's 80s pop, there's like all types of different type of pop, all different types of rock, and I think hip hop has just blown up. That not only has it become the new pop, it's also grown. There's grime, there's trap, there's conscious, there's all types of different genres. So I feel like I think there's something about what people latch onto, and the generation that we're in. We're in this generation that's called like the outrage culture. Like no matter what you do, whether it's food or music, whatever you put out, the people that are consuming it are gonna find ways to nitpick at it, and because of outrage culture, because of Facebook, because of Twitter. So we're in that age right now. So at the same time, the outrage culture is exploding in social media, and everyone has a voice. Hip hop has become such a big deal. So then together we have this thing that's being pushed that, people are quick to knock it before we even can get those subgenres defined.
That's very true.
And I think
That's very true.
And I think that's something that's interesting because, before the outrage culture, before Instagram, before Facebook, do you guys really think that people were putting Biz Markie and Nas in the same category? Were they putting Coolio and Warren G in the same category? Well, maybe, but you know what I'm saying? Like that you were, that dude, Skilo had. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish you think that they were putting them up against Wu-Tang?
No.
Oh, no,
Absolutely
no,
not.
no.
So when you see these memes and you see all these things about, oh, this is hip hop when I was growing up, and you have a picture of Nas and Jay-Z, and you say this is hip hop now, and they have Soulja Boy and Lil Pump. Not only is that like a misrepresentation of the culture,
Exactly.
That's just disrespectful to yourself. If you post that, then you're a fucking dumbass. Like if you even perpetuate that, then like you are literally not that smart, guy. Like why would you even put those two together?
Yeah, and
It's
it's
like-
it's having a narrow
Yeah,
view.
and I'm going on, but it's like going to fucking, he's like, oh, that ain't Gordon Ramsay, just Burger King. Like, it's different. They're both food, right?
I feel like people just don't let things live and breathe in their own right. Someone always has to, like you just said, like the culture we're in has to really ruin something before it's even given the opportunity to breathe.
Yeah.
Because I think hip hop, I mean, everything trap is gonna eventually have to evolve into some state to move on forth with the times.
Yeah.
And everything else it has to evolve because hip hop is the pop. It's popular right now. It is the biggest sound.
Yeah, it's evolving. There's like festival trap. There's trap. I think of
Festival
like
trap?
Yeah.
There's like, when I think of trap, I think of Manny Fresh and Ti.
That's trap. That was the birth of trap, right?
Yeah. But now there's a subgenre of instrumental music called trap that producers are playing, and they're the ones that are getting the sets at over at Coachella and festival trap is like I don't even want to put people's names in there, but yeah, it's a separate genre. So even trap itself is trap, not hip hop. It's crazy.
Trap its own thing then.
I don't know. That's crazy. Now we're just going on.
I mean, that's what happens about these podcasts. It's like it's meant to go on. Obviously, we have a time, but that's what we're here for. But I think what makes a hip hop song a hip hop song, I think we go back to that is there a formula to it? Would you consider well, yeah, there is a formula to everything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like there is, like you said, a formula for everything. Like as far as like a blueprint, like all right, these are the curriculums that you have to follow, and whether should you follow those curriculums to a T, like you don't necessarily have to, in a sense. It's the way I see it. It's meant to follow as like a guideline. It's like, okay, I can do this, like, but what if I do it this way, or what if I twist it around? Right. But I guess going off on a tangent and just trying to focus on the question is, as far as like a formula, I guess an answer for me is just the content in itself. Like for me, when I think of hip hop, I think of like the knowledge aspect. Like, okay, what are you going to tell me in terms of storytelling? Is it going to be, life experience, or is it just going to be from a fictional standpoint, or is it going to be, what's that word? Glorifying it, for lack of a better word, in those sensitive line. Like those are like the parameters that I kind of like gauge into as far as like, what is their parameters, or what is like going to get me to say like, as far as like judging like, okay, that's hip hop, or that one's like,
Right.
Yeah.
No.
I think there's many ways to answer this question, because what one hip hop artist doesn't necessarily work for every other hip hop artist to create a song. I think when it comes down to it all, the person who is the artist himself, if they believe it, and if it fits for them, if it's their walk of life, then it is their walk of life. It is their hip hop. It is their creation. So I think that should answer my question right there.
Yeah.
I agree.
I
No, yeah. I mean, just to dial it in, what are the parameters of what makes hip hop? I mean, for me, I guess I'll give you guys more of a literal answer than as long as it comes from someplace that well, it doesn't matter if it's like original or not, because hip hop, was built off of borrowing rhythms, breaks, drums, samples, flows, all that stuff. But yeah, just if it can make your head nod first, whether it's through a beat or a flow, or even just make your head nod in like affirmation. Damn, that's a bar. Then I'm with it, because even if it doesn't have a beat and it's someone just spitting a cappella,
Oh yeah.
it'll still have that flow.
Facts.
So that's why even if you listen to like Thriller, I think his name is Vincent Price, the guy at the end that's doing this little spooky
Yep.
stuff.
That's surprise.
That's a rap. Like it's if you watch like behind the scenes content about Thriller, they're like, Vincent Price came in for a rap, and that was very early on, and that was very loosely. That's a flow that evolved, but there's a flow that's there. So shout out to Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones.
Yeah. Oh, on that subject, also shout out to I Still Love Her for the original post for the topic that inspired to one of the topics today.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout
out
out
to you.
Shout out to you.